Buddy. I messed up last time, and last time was not episode 10. Or it wasn't 11. No, wait, it was 11. This is episode 12 of See You at
Or
Mike's. I'm
maybe,
Trevor.
wait,
Wait, wait.
I think that one you said 11, but it was 10. Or maybe you said it's 10 and it was 11.
I think I
This is
said
going
10 and it
well.
was 11.
We're already
And this
doing
this
great.
this one's 12.
Oh,
I
so
probably
this. Oh, so the last one was 10.
yeah. And
What?
now
All right.
no. All right, I'm Trev.
I'm Tyler Joseph Swalowski.
My friend, what's up?
Not too much, man. We've
It's-
we haven't gotten together and streamed since before the Bo Burnham special.
Yeah,
Whoa, really?
that's exactly right, actually.
It's a good way to put a time on it.
It was almost exactly a month. It was a month and a day or something like that.
Really?
Month and 2 days.
There you
June.
go.
Because I think it was 6/17. And it's
Oh,
7/18.
yeah, you're right.
Right back and through that door behind Swati.
Yeah,
Yeah, back there where it got
feels like it was
real
just
sweaty.
very sweaty.
Yeah.
That feels like it was
Back
just
to couch.
yesterday.
It does feel like it was just yesterday. I don't know what your guys' schedules were like after that stream, but mine was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you went out to camp
yeah.
for the week.
Went out to camp, then came back and got sick because one of my campers had a cold. Negative
Oh.
for COVID though, which is dope.
That's good. Very good.
Yeah, and then like spent a week dog sitting, and so it's just been
Whose dog?
my mother's dog. in Grand Forks, in the grandest of
Yeah.
funks.
Zook?
Yeah,
Dog.
How is Zook?
he's He's almost done shedding. So he's a Shiba Inu mixed with an American Eskimo,
Whoa.
and so it's like a medium-sized white dog, really beautiful, and he sheds like an MFer twice a year.
Is he kind of long? Like somewhat?
Yeah, he's kind of thin now that he's got like more of his like summer coat. It's less like poofy. He looks longer because it looks more slender, but he's not like wiener dog long.
It is funny how like dogs can be dimensionally described as long. Like I know that's basic, but it's also so funny. Like humans are not long, they're tall.
Well,
But we should
unless-
start calling humans long.
Well, babies are called long.
That
because
is
they're
true.
not tall
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
like,
That is
that's a
true.
long baby. Someday they're going to be a tall human being.
What's so is the gap by age or height? Like, could you be a baby that's like 72 inches long?
Its ability to stand, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably.
You could be a baby that is 72 inches long,
You could,
conceivably.
yeah, and you could be a baby that's like that tall, because he just lies down, crawls around.
Right.
Yeah, as soon
Yeah.
as you lay down, you're not tall anymore. You're just long now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hey, I need to get like the extended bed. I'm too long for this one.
Oh man, yeah, I'm quite tall when I'm standing, but I'm just long when I lay down. That kind of sounds like you're trying to talk about your dick.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the one thing that you wouldn't want to use long as a substitute for tall because like, oh, look at this dude, looking really long, man. It's like a little weird.
Honestly, hey, bros supporting bros.
Bro,
Yeah,
support
that's just.
Hey,
like that one time when someone sent their unfortunate penis picture into a group chat full of guy friends.
Yeah, I don't know who that happened to, or
None of us
you
know.
know, but if that happened to you or someone you know, bros
We're like-
supporting bros.
Bro,
we were
support
like,
bros.
damn, dude, you're tall.
Yeah,
You're
just
tall.
gas them up. Like, make sure everyone in the group chat just says, "Dude, you're looking tall, dude,"
Looking
and then
tall.
leave it. Leave it in the past.
Well, okay,
Um,
if someone lays down and they're tall, that means that they have a long dick.
oh yeah, yeah, that is one possible conclusion.
Hmm.
What if you're doing like the like a Michael Jackson lean and you're at like a 45-degree angle?
uh, you're angular.
Wow, you're extensive.
Bro, your hypotenuse right now is
Yeah,
high. It's just high.
hypotenuse.
It's just a high hypotenuse. It's a very high hypotenuse.
Should I restart my computer now to do the latest Windows update?
Yeah,
All right, see
Yeah,
ya.
this seems like the
we'll,
perfect time to be doing that.
we'll wait.
Yeah.
Wait, which is this Windows 11? Which one are they at now?
No, but they're coming out. It's Windows 10, but I think they're coming out with Windows 11 soon. That's what I've heard, but I don't keep up with such things.
Shout out to Windows.
Shout out.
All right,
Um,
should we do content?
We should do
yeah,
content.
yeah,
Here comes
because
the content. Are we gonna get sued for that? Because I sang that a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
That's gonna be our
yeah, you
first
can never say that
copyright strike.
sentence ever again.
I know we're live, but we'll cut that out in post.
Oh, right. Wow, it's a beautiful day to stay inside. Yeah, Trev, you can introduce the content.
Yeah,
Sure.
what's up?
So last time we were like, let's do just talk about what we're doing in life and what we want to do next for
Mhm.
like rest of the year, 3 year, 5 year till you
Mhm.
die. Just kind of
Mhm.
like everything. And we shot way too many hands of rock, paper, scissors, and eventually came to SWAT going first. And so our last episode, if you caught it, was just SWAT breaking it down. And then me and Prem chose a number before we started or before we went live and resolved that I would be up next for this episode. So yeah, I got interested in being a pilot in high school, graduated, just started right away at UND. No downtime, no wishy-washy. Just started the program, finished on time in 4 years, just graduated in May. And through that time got different ratings that you get just consequentially from the program: commercial, instrument, multi-engine, and then certified flight instructor and certified instructor instrument. And so right now, I graduated, done with school, and that's sweet. And now I'm just working for UND as a flight instructor. Um, so I just have students. We, either do lessons at the airport or in the sim bay or just briefings. And I'm just teaching them, and I guide them to their next rating, their next what they need to know and their pilot careers. And all the while, I'm getting hours in the airplane that are necessary to go on and get a different job, which I guess is the whole point of this conversation. So I'll slow it down there a little bit. Really, if you would have asked me like a couple years ago, like, what do you want to do with it? I'd say like for sure,
Fly planes.
airline pilot. Well, I want to fly planes. Yeah. Airline pilot, you get in, just do whatever route, whatever like big jet, just, buy the books, black tie, everything like that. And for the most part, that's still what I want to do. But when COVID hit and there's a lot of like furloughs and everything, where now the pilot hiring industry is like very good again, at least at the regional level. Um, I sort of was like, at this point, I'd really do anything. Like, I'm interested in a lot of different things that you could do as a pilot, whatever that might be, like corporate flying, um, even just like small stuff too, like crop dusting. I see crop dusters out there flying by Lake Crookston, and it's like, it looks so cool. Um, yeah, it's like a little bit of that. I mean, possibly even if I do it more and I continue to enjoy it, people just start as flight instructors and they decide they want to be career flight instructors. That's what they do. If I could do anything as a pilot and like be guaranteed to, make enough money to survive and like have job security and like continue to do that, it would be search and rescue, which I think is a little bit more, maybe not necessarily, the job placement there for helicopter pilots is probably a little bit more like sensical. Just the way the aircrafts work,
Right.
you can go in one spot, you don't have to come in 50 miles an hour and need 600 feet to land. Um, but I mean, I think that would just be the most like intrinsically fulfilling career path as a pilot. But right now, I'm just sort of, and not that I like wouldn't be satisfied doing anything other than that. Like I said, they'd all be cool. But yeah, I just think that'd be like the best. It'd be really cool.
feel like
Believe it or
the
not. Believe it or not,
oh,
I have reason to appreciate people that go out and save people from situations that they would otherwise die in.
Yikes.
that's an Easter egg. You guys are gonna have to listen further to hear the story about that one.
You're gonna have to
Um,
Google Grand Forks Herald.
or just look it up.
Yeah, it doesn't take very much looking.
Yeah, no. The search and rescue is breaking news to me.
Yeah,
I don't know if I knew that.
I mean, it's always just kind of been like an idea, not like, hey, I've been applying for search and rescue jobs,
Sure.
Um,
So you'd consider like learning how to fly a helicopter, for example? Like, is that something you'd be interested in?
Oh gosh.
in part, I feel like maybe a lot of pilots share this sentiment is like throughout college, I just wanted to spend like as little money as possible but still become a career pilot, right?
Right.
Just in that time where like I didn't have much money, it's all like scholarships and loans, grants and things like that. But let's say that I do get a job as a pilot and then get more money and I can like go back and pay for like to train myself farther. I would want to be able to like learn how to fly every plane there is that I have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Like pilot logbooks, there's like a checklist in the front that to like scratch off all your ratings, like rotorcraft,
yeah.
glider, seaplane, everything like
Oh.
that. Like it'd be sweet just to be able, like anything that goes in the air, you got it.
Yeah.
So in that case, I could see myself one day, just getting like my private in a helicopter. And if I really like it and I see that there's like a job market out there for search and rescue helicopters pilots, then I would maybe continue pursuing that and get my commercial license so that I could get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if the planet keeps burning and half the country just sinks underwater, it seems like that'll be a lucrative business.
Yeah. Just
Um,
get a job with the Coast Guard because the coast just changes every year.
there's not much
Well,
coast. Yeah, the coast will
the
be
coast
needing
was
guarded.
here, but now it's
Yeah,
up there.
yeah. I feel like you kind of were among the people who kind of were set of what you wanted to do earlier on in high school.
Right.
At least relative to other people. That I remember senior year, at least minimum. I thought that you kind of, it was known that you were likely going to do aviation.
Pilot.
Yeah.
What then excited you about the prospects of flying, and has that changed since you've actually done the thing, and why are you still impassioned about it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, even so, yeah, sophomore year of high school, I took that class. Just introduction to the whole thing is from a professor who I ended up having my senior year for a class at UND, which was cool. But I just took that class, and after that, I just got tunnel vision for it, and I wasn't really interested in anything else. And so it wasn't like, here's why I'm passionate about this one and opposed to these other ones. It was like every other option just seemed like not even worth entertaining. The guy just had no interest in like any other career path. And so it didn't even seem like, look at this, like I want to do it so bad. It was just like that's what was in front of me. It just like at like eye level, and everything else was just like on the floor. So it seems like a little bit less romantic than it could be for like a passion, but it's just sort of like what I'm gonna do.
Well, when you took the class, like, did you feel that when you took the intro class sophomore year that it was kind of just trying something out, or you kind of already knew that this is something that you figured you might want to do?
I kind of already liked not even the idea of like being a pilot necessarily. Though as a kid, when we go on like vacations here or there, my favorite part was always the jet ride. Just like taking off and like even just like hanging out in the airport. We could have flew to the place and I'd hang out in the airport for the whole rest of the trip and just fly back with them and I would have been satisfied. So I really just liked planes. Not even in like going and like watching an air show kind of way. I just liked like airports and jets. Um, and
Weird men in
so
suits.
yeah, so I guess when that class came up, I was just like, oh, for sure. It was as if I'd been waiting for that class to become available, but I'd never thought about
Huh.
I should be like taking this class. I'm not sure. It's kind of strange, and my memory is sort of more like photographic than it is like feelings and like events and moments. So even that long ago, I kind of can't put myself into my own head
Right.
Yeah,
as a sophomore.
for sure.
Expanding on your question though, you're like, what keeps me impassioned about it? At this point, now that I'm like into it, doing it, it's not just an idea. Um, in college, like UND sort of has it sucks, and I try to correct this as much as I can now that I'm a flight instructor and I can do something about it. But UND has a really great way of taking all the fun out of flight training. It's just like flying is inherently cool. At least seem to think so. But there's just so much like stress and anxiety
Mm.
about like the timing of everything in
Mm.
within a flight course and like the consequences
Mm.
for like unsatisfactory performance where everyone isn't seeing it as like hell yeah dude, let's go fly. It's like let's get this lesson done so we can move on to the next one so I can get done so I can register for the next course and not have to be sit
Mm.
out on the bench for a semester. And it was just kind of like a grind and obviously I would still find things that I thought were cool, like I would always just ask questions. Um, and you're also always bad at it. Like you would learn to fly the plane one way, you'd like get good at it, but then they would always just ratchet up the standards and what you needed to know, and you're always learning new things. Like fly a different aircraft for one class. So like as much practice as you had flying planes as like a UND undergrad, you always just feel like you're dog shit at flying planes until like well, really until I became a CFI and then I started flying with like student pilots. And I was like, holy shit, I know I can fly this plane really, really well. Like I know a lot about it. Um, so that's also kind of something that made it just like discouraging at times or like frustrating. And like it was just kind of like this compulsory thing, like you just go to college to do whatever you're doing and this is like yeah I'm going to college and being a pilot. It's like I gotta show up at the airport, I gotta get these lessons done versus like we're gonna go fly and we're gonna go fast and we're gonna see things. I don't know.
It strikes me that I feel like aviation, maybe generally, but especially at UND, given it's such a good program, I feel like there's a lot of checkpoints or gates to cross that I could imagine just weed people out. That it can be a grueling process, but also it just seems very high by nature. It's high stress, but also when you talk about all the things you've had to do to get where you are, I just feel as if there have been so many different tests and checks and just hurdles that you've had to cross that I can imagine could just demoralize people. A, does that happen? Like, have you seen that happen to students in a substantial way at all, or at least a noticeable way? And B, not as much of a question, but I think, I mean, you're a smart person and you're also a very dedicated person. So I think that's a good recipe to get through it. But I don't know, it just strikes me that, what you just described, that you just did it because you knew you had to. I don't know. That's just very interesting. That, and I mean, it worked for you, and I feel like that especially works for you specifically. Trevor, but I don't know. What do you think?
think that there are some things, like not even just in like let's say UND's program, but just like what aviation requires in general that is going to weed a lot of people out for sure. So if we back up to it takes like some level of privilege to
Yeah.
train to be a pilot, unless you just got like a full ride scholarship or the military is a great route, I think, for people that really want to become pilots but can't fund like a college. They can't go fly in granddaddy's aircraft and learn that way.
Yeah.
So just having like the support is required to pursue it. And then you have like there's medical restrictions, which probably gets not that big of a percentage of people, but at some point you have to be like, I'm just not cut out as badly as I want to not be able to be like a commercial level pilot. So you have things like that. And then you get into like the flight training scene. Now, if you make it that far, right? Uh, I imagine there's probably a lot of people, and this is like a little bit heartbreaking, but I totally like I understand it. There's a lot of people probably that went through the whole 4 years and all the courses and all the money at UND to get the degree and get all the ratings, where if they had an easier out or a better option or like just less pressure, they would have taken it for sure. And like they probably shouldn't be in it, but let's say you take the first class, right? Just that first semester, it's the most expensive class in the program just because there's so much to learn and it's a lot of flying. Uh, Now you've just spent 20% of what the whole program is going to cost after your first semester. And so you're like, I'm not sure if it's for me, but I'm already, in for a penny, in for a pound. You just
Right.
stick through it. And then at that point it's like, well, that's what I did for like 4 years because I stuck through it after that first semester,
Right.
in for a pound, in for 2 pounds, and now you're like a career pilot, and maybe you should have been weeded out earlier.
Because for those who don't know, when you go fly as a student, you are paying for all your flights, right?
Yeah,
You pay
right.
for
Yeah,
every single flight.
yeah. As soon as you pay for all the contact time with your instructor, and that's how UND makes their money and like pays all their employees and gets new planes they need and everything like that. But then as soon as the propeller is running, you're paying at cost what it is for fuel, insurance, just operating costs of that aircraft. And so yeah, like, and it's not like you do that and then they build this account for what you owe. It's you need to have like cash in hand in an account, and then at the end of the flight, it gets pulled directly from that account. And if you don't have funds in there, you don't get dispatched.
Man.
Yeah, so
It's not like you
so
go to driver's ed and you're driving in someone else's car and they're going to fill up gas while you're driving around and you don't have to pay anything. You're like, the whole time you're doing this, they're funneling money out of you.
yeah,
Like a little ticket tape machine or a clown with a handkerchief. Just
yeah.
It's probably stressful in its own right.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I went through the whole 4 years stressing about money the whole time. Just because like you gotta have it, and it was just like so much, especially flying the Seminole, the twin. It's like 3 times more expensive than the Archer. Or no, not no, like twice as expensive. Yeah. It was just like, God damn, like I would try not to think of every flight as like this 1.6 hours cost this much money. That sucks. Because then it would just be discouraging. But like with my students now, like I remember going through that, and it's sort of like this don't ask, don't tell kind of thing about like whether or not finances like are an issue or not, because like they don't really want to talk about it. You don't want to mention the fact that like every time you're scheduling them, you're just like signing them up to pay a lot of money. Just kind of like, I mean, when before I started the program, my dad put it really well. He was like, He's like, do you want to do this for sure? You know, because like once you start, like it is gonna be really expensive. He's like, but if it is, you know, between you, me, your mom, uh, you know, loans,
Your dog,
scholarships,
your
grants.
cat.
Yeah. He's like, we'll make it happen. You know, like it's going to take sacrifice for sure. But like, you know, you want to be a pilot. Like, what else are you going to do? I don't want to get too like doom and gloom like I was for 5 minutes there. But yeah, it's like, no, like yeah, it's going to be expensive, but you're going to kick it in there and you're going to make it happen. At the end of it, you're going to be a pilot. Going back to like the weeding out process,
Hmm.
and started thinking about this more as an instructor, especially two of my three students right now are brand new student pilots. And so with someone that like hasn't gone through it before, is not rated. Like anytime they fly, even if they go solo, they're flying under your certificate technically. So if
Oh,
anything happens, it's like it's your ass, you know. You're technically like the one that was endorsing everything that was happening. And I hope this doesn't happen, but we kind of like talked about it in training for becoming a CFI too. Is like you know, if it gets to this point, you can talk to like your lead, you can talk to the chief pilot, like everybody, the professors back at campus, you know, but like you might need to have a conversation with them and say this might not be for you. And that could be any number of things, you know. Now you got a lot of possibilities for that, but weeding out could then like at last happen at that level, I think.
Yeah. And you're the weeder.
A little bit. I mean, I'm the one
You're the
watching
gardener.
their technique, watching their study habits like day after day and seeing like this, you know, if something has to change here or this you're not going to be successful in what it takes
Oh.
to keep pushing through.
okay. So I feel like we've gotten a good understanding of what's kind of motivating you, of what's pushing you.
I
And
should say
go ahead.
I lighten it up a little bit more, and I just like planes, you know,
Yeah.
especially now that like I learn more about them. Like I'm out at the airport and you get to see like private jets land, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You can like hear them, and it's like I still, yeah, there's like a lot of motivation kind of like outside the, as weird as it sounds, I have motivation to be a pilot that's like way outside the world of aviation. But I still do have a lot of like just fascination and interest and like excitement for going on to fly like huge vehicles. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to shoehorn that in. You can keep going from.
Um, but so we have that. We have some things that make you very happy and very driven about flying. And you mentioned that perhaps search and rescue could be something that really fulfills you if you can get there. And once you get there, if you still think that's something you'd like to do. But that's so this is just one facet, of course, of your life vision, your life plan, your hopes and dreams. It's very professional. Have there been other things on your mind of the short and medium term and long term? I guess we can kind of just go through it. Outside of or parallel to all this.
Right. I guess I kind of realized at some point in this conversation, I was like, shit, this is gonna have to be about other things than flying.
Which yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, that's yeah, I could talk about what I want to do as a pilot all day, but it gets a little like stickier just because I've kind of had just like tunnel vision a lot, you know, like I'm a I don't know what it would be. It's like I'm not much of a philosopher when I'm going to school to be a pilot, you know. It's like I
Use the voice on?
know what I have to do next. I just like study for that. You know, I don't have to really make too many decisions about what I want to do, which has been a huge like it's really stress relieving. Like you said, I'm probably one of like not that many people in high school where as a sophomore I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
There's like this and that on like exactly how to do it,
Yeah.
but it was like nice. And it wasn't vague either. It wasn't
Hmm.
like I'm gonna go into business
Yeah.
or like medicine.
Yeah.
As you could say, aviation is kind of vague, but airline pilot is not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, let's just stay on aviation for a little bit. Just kind of go into like the 1, 3, 5, whatever years go on, and
Yeah,
then we'll zoom
yeah,
out a little bit and just look at life.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I'd say right now, if I were to not alter course, um, and don't like take any other like job opportunities that might come up that interest me, and I just like stay on what it is for an airline pilot. What that looks like right now is I stay in Grand Forks, keep living here at Brookstock, which I'm excited about, and I'm glad that we still have the house and people to live in it after I graduated. So stay here, living with the boys, living with Stitch, just driving to and from the airport, flight instructing, making my money that way. Right now, I still work at Pizza Ranch and the Park District, so I'm running 3 jobs just to kind of like square it up to 40 hours a week.
yeah.
Um, and just do that for at this rate, it's probably about a year, maybe like 16 months. And at that point, I need 1,000 hours. And if you have 1,000 hours in an airplane, you can get your restricted airline transport pilot certificate. I'm not sure exactly what the process looks like at that point, but then a regional airline will hire you. So I will do, apply and hopefully interview with someone like SkyWest or Endeavor, uh, what have you. And then you go there, you fly their jets for, depending on the industry, obviously, and where you want to go. Uh, like if I were to do a SkyWest, for example, you're flying planes that have Delta paint on them. You work there for 5 years maybe, and then you get hired up to Delta to the majors. And then at that point, like you're in the company you want to be in, or you, I'd be in the company I want to be in. And again, not super picky about major airlines at this point,
Yeah.
uh, but be in the company I want to be in. So then it's just going up to different aircraft, different positions. Maybe like check airman or like training or like becoming a chief pilot, something like that. But really at that point, it's just like, hey, there's this position available in the company. But at that point, it'd be same company, same basic position, pilot, flying, hopefully bigger and bigger planes, but just transport category aircraft. Like at that point, it's all pretty darn similar.
So what
And
are
then do
the
that until the mandatory retirement age of 65, I think. And then, like I said, along that time, if I'm like making money, then just hobby flying, possibly, like different, just whatever aircraft I might be interested in.
You won't make any money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, or the industry crashes again, and I just get furloughed,
Gosh.
and then picked back up and furloughed again, which is, I mean, the aviation industry is ridiculously cyclical, so I expect it to happen at least once.
what are your thoughts on nationalizing the airlines?
Wow.
Do you mean like,
As in, like, given how many times the government just like bails out the industry, like, what if they just nationalized it, like, made it fully
right? I mean,
just
the same
run
way
by
that
the,
air traffic control is nationalized. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
government body.
yeah,
Uh, the same with the airspace system. Like, why not just make the airlines part of that too?
Yeah.
And it's a really good
yeah,
question. And mind you, I'm not too much in like the economical, political
yeah, sure, yeah.
area, but
You're just a guy.
yeah, for like
I just
for
like
what a
flying.
just be a normal guy. Uh, I don't know. To me, I picture how much money changes hands in the world of commercial aviation, right? And you got like huge corporations, just like giant businesses like Delta
Yeah,
Airlines,
yeah,
American Airlines, things like that. I feel like U.S. government and everything like that, but just like consumers going like, I want to fly here, here's this money, and the US government being like, thanks, here's what our tickets cost, now go out. There's no like, it'd be just like a benevolent monopoly because it's the government, but it like wouldn't be a monopoly because it's not a business. I'm not sure. It just seems kind of like pervy to me, if that were to happen. But at the same time, like you said, if they're seeing just like ridiculous bailouts and they're just like the interconnectedness gets like more and more strong, then at some point it's like, what are we doing here? Are you even like your own like sovereign business at this point?
Right. I mean, it's just like because it's nationalized financially already, essentially. Which is
Yeah.
to say, like, we're paying for it as if it was a government service. It's just not.
Yeah.
Like you just described it. Like they get like hundreds of $1 billion like every seemingly like 8 to like 12 years. Which like doesn't even include like subsidies, just like generally and like
Mhm.
tax breaks that these companies get.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But
This,
that's tangential also. We don't need to get into a wormhole here. This was just, you know.
well, here's all right. Yeah, I'm gonna like, I got like 1 foot back in the conversation, but going out on the tangent more.
All right, great.
Let's say for like research and development purposes, the only incentive for companies to research and develop really is just to like meet requirements, that like maybe the government might set for like emissions, things like that, or because it's going to make them save money or make more money, right?
Yeah.
But if it was the government handling all of these jets flying every day, then for the sake of like research and development for like more fuel efficient aircrafts, different fuel types, things like that, would it be
Right.
like now instead of something that you just look at because it's going to improve your bottom line, it would be like, no, let's do this for the sake of doing it now.
Yeah.
Um, just to make the world a well better place sounds a little like happy for just like the government, but
A more
you know what I mean?
developed place. Make the world more developed.
More developed is how they would say it, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
it's like if it was a government set standard, then I guess it would just be the government chasing its own standard.
right.
yeah,
Like if like the EPA says, yeah, like we need to be X amount of carbon free by X year, then
Then the government's like, oh
the
shoot, we got to do this thing that we
yeah,
said we were gonna do.
yeah. So I guess that would be the idea there. If they're setting their own standards, you think their nationalized systems would pursue those standards.
Right.
But anywho,
Nike Shane
um,
is wondering if nationalizing the air industry would decrease or increase the quantity of flights and the number of destinations. Do you have any thoughts on that, Trev?
this is something that I almost wish I would have like gotten more like classes on because you kind of have like some classes where you talk about this, but you don't really like dig into it.
Yeah.
So like more flights, more destinations. I feel like there'd kind of be like fewer because the whole thing just with the competing businesses is you would just look at market demand, and if it looks like it'd be worth your time to have more flights and go to more destinations, then you do. But if the government is like, we could like not, penetrate that market and be fine, the government isn't going to collapse. Like a company might go bankrupt if you don't capitalize on those opportunities. I could see them just kind of being like lazy about it.
Right.
So
that's interesting.
if I had to like pick, black or white on that one, I think it would be fewer flights, fewer destinations.
Do you
Not by a huge margin, but
yeah. What do you have to say about like the thing where, if I'm at Minneapolis or like I'm in Grand Forks trying to fly to I don't know, like let's just throw out the East Coast, okay? What is it with the big like mega airports like Denver and Salt Lake City where you like I from Grand Forks would probably fly to Minneapolis and then to the East Coast. But I've heard stories of people flying from like Minneapolis to Denver and then back across Minneapolis to another state or place on east of Minneapolis when Denver is far west of Minneapolis. Right.
Oh, like because the hubs or whatever.
Right. Because certain flights all like meet somewhere. Like all pipes lead to the ocean. All flight leads to Salt Lake City or Denver or somewhere. What is that all about? Do you know? And if
I mean,
it
that's
was
just like
nationalized, would it like is that like actually a proper efficiency thing for flying, or is that an efficiency thing economically that sacrifices flight paths?
it. I mean, it's like it's an economical thing. You just want asses in seats, and the more people you have in one aircraft going to one place,
Right.
uh, the less it's going to cost total than if you had, several like small airplanes doing. I mean, that's like the basic reason for the whole hub structure
Right.
or hub and spoke.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, efficiency wise, I'm just trying to think of like if there was absolutely like efficiency, just say for like fuel burn,
Right.
if everyone was just flying around in like single turboprops from like wherever they wanted to go, where you wouldn't be able to get into like real small airports still, but like Grand Forks would be totally fine, Fargo, everything like that, Thief River Falls, if that would be more fuel efficient than bringing big jets in the air, even if they have way more people. And you wouldn't have to do like those double back trips or the connecting flights
Mm-hmm.
because then it wouldn't be hub and spoke. It would just be like an even quilt.
Spiderweb.
Yeah, that I'm not too sure. At UND has a lot of really smart people that get into this kind of thing a lot more, and they'd be really fun to talk to about it. But I might not be your guy.
Right. Renike Shane is bringing up the economic efficiency that ignores the carbon emissions and the resource expenditure for filling seats and profitability.
Is this Twitch? I have this
Yeah.
Discord open. I need to have the Twitch
This is
messages.
Twitch.
Stand by.
Yeah.
But that's also why I'm not fully like the efficiency discussion is why I'm not fully convinced that if we nationalized the airlines that would lead to less quality destinations. Also, it depends like what your definition of quality is and quantity. I mean, if anything, because these companies am I frozen? Am I okay? I'm good. Because if anything, because these companies are just operating to maximize their efficiency, maximize their profitability, there's probably a good amount of locations they don't go to or like have 1 to 2 connections to, i.e. Grand Forks to Minneapolis and nowhere else. Because like you don't necessarily need to, or those folks can find different paths to travel elsewhere. Which again, market logically, yes, that makes sense by the market. But then also in terms of quality locations, I'm not sure why nationalized airways would have some sort of incentive to not go to these quality locations as in just like popular locations, because at the end of the day, even though it's a government service, it has to pay employees and it also has to function, which means it has to pay for itself in some way, or not necessarily pay for itself, but just operate. It needs to have some sort of thing supporting it.
Right.
So if it's not flying to the quality locations that people want to go to, look, where are they flying to? Like Toledo?
Wow. Throw Toledo in the nose. Well,
No offense.
my uneducated thought was basically that, like, just because it would be nationalized, I do not think that like it would work any differently than it does now, because economic efficiency would be put at the highest point over anything else. Because if that's, I mean, there are
yeah. Because
that
we're
trying to change, but America is still a business first and foremost before it's a country.
Yeah, even our nationalized stuff, whatever it is, still requires either constant funding
Right.
or just like still they're still operate as business totally. But we seldom have any services in this country that operate just as services that don't need to be paid for. The logic of our government is that everything needs to be paid for somehow. We can't just like provide things. So yeah, I agree with that. I mean, also when you go on a plane, it feels like it's government service, like serviced, because Trevor, like you said, every service around it except the plane itself is a government mandated thing.
Right.
The
Right.
air traffic
Yeah.
space, the airspace, everything is the
TSA.
government.
TSA.
TSA. There's no private thing except the paint job on the plane and the Biscoff cookies.
And
Um,
almonds.
yes, so
Yeah. So
I kind of buy that too.
and this, maybe you'd also be interested in the teasing the thought, which this one comes up more because it's kind of like not closer to happening in the sense that like it might, but like more people talk about it as if it's like we could do this like pretty soon. Is privatizing air traffic control, just like
Right.
going the other way with
What?
one that is nationalized. And like,
Why? I think you mentioned this before,
yeah,
but it's still mind blowing to me.
I'm not fresh. This is, again, just from like a class in undergrad. I don't totally remember all like the pros and cons to it, but like there was a big list on both sides, for like privatizing air traffic control. And so on one hand, I just wonder if I'm so used to private companies flying the airlines and then the government controlling the airspace, where if I were to see them like switch or one of them go to the other side, maybe it seems
Huh.
super weird, but in practice, it like wouldn't be that weird. I just think of it and it just like kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies because it's just I'm so used to the opposite.
Right.
That is definitely being pushed by Big Drone. What like what reason, like not even like the logically this is why you should private, just like superficially, what reasons would you imagine some actor would want to privatize the airspace other than to like be able to like fly their like JV military planes in training just around the airspace and like not have to follow the rules?
Did you say JV as junior varsity?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they're getting ready for game time.
Yeah, it's
To
just
like
not.
blow up Syria or something.
Yeah, I could see there definitely being some like I don't want someone making more rules to this than I need and like breathing down my neck. I just want to own the air traffic control sector that I'm operating this in. There could definitely be
Does Jeffrey Bezos with his fucking Amazon drones that deliver shit?
That's what
Do they
I'm
have to
saying,
like
dude.
go through government air traffic stuff?
they would.
Or
I
do
mean, for a
they?
lot of I'm not sure. Like for a lot of that, you just kind of get like a permit to like operate in one area. But if
Right.
you're gonna set it up for like the whole like town or like system of towns, it would just be like at or below this altitude,
Right.
and then you're like good. Because you cannot,
Like
you
radio
can't,
frequencies, but altitude.
yeah, you can't throw a paper airplane in Manville without there being a notice about it on the FAA website. Like even people will go like there's a course for like the students that fly or do UAS will go by like BioLife and fly their drones out there, and it looks like just dudes going out and just like tooling around with like a little drone, but then you look at like the flight restrictions page and it's like UAS operations below 400 feet at BioLife or at Tech Circle or something, and you're like, does this really need to be like a notice to airmen out there right now? But sure enough, there is. So you look at these notices and you got like ones that have to do with like runways or like navigation systems or something, and then you go all those, and then there's just one after the other of just UAS operations because they have to be published, but it's just like coordinates. Like you're seriously just reading like GPS coordinates and like altitudes just for anyone that's out there flying a drone.
Right.
A big one, or one that they ask permission for. However that works, wherever you draw the line on it.
Well, we should totally find ourselves back on the path. But
Yeah.
before I forget, if you have any like
It's
professors or literature or like articles that you had to read for class about privatizing the airspace, you should send them to me so I can find out who's backing this.
okay.
This might be an expose soon, folks. So stay tuned.
This might be a rabbit hole.
Follow the newsletter.
Follow the newsletter.
All right, yeah.
Better
I'll see what I
world.
can find out for you.
Anyways, back to 135.
Okay. Well, we kind of did it for flying,
Flying.
right?
Yeah.
Now,
You guys satisfied?
for
It's
fans.
that's the plan, but I'm gonna keep my eyes open to other job offers, career paths, but I can't really make a 5-year plan about those if I don't really know anything about them. But yeah, that's the thing, man. I graduated. We're moving on now. It's fine. I'm getting paid to fly now, which is really, really nice, and not just hemorrhaging money every time I want to go up in the air.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so now we're just like I said, zooming out a little bit. Like, what else? What else do I dig? What do I want to continue to do? What do I want to not do or start doing or anything like that? Um, like I do a lot of um, like crafts, build things and make art, and
Projects.
I feel like not even that that's something I'm gonna like keep as a priority, but I know it's just something that's like gonna happen,
Yeah.
and I want to just like naturally I'm just gonna kind of like improve that. So I I want to set myself up in some way. Like if I went through all 4 years of college in an apartment and I didn't have the garage and like the backyard, where I could just run like circular saw and like pound nails and like do all these things, my sawhorses and like whatever, just like do the kind of things I want to do, or big art projects, whatever. Like you can still make those happen. It's just not as like just walk out the back door in my pajamas, go into the garage on a whim and like work on something.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if we kind of want to get into like what I would want as like a minimum like monetary uh like floor for whatever my career is going to be, I also have no real preference for where I want to live. And I'm kind of just interested to see, at least when I start training, like where they put me and just like try out different like places, in the country, at least to start. And like, I actually, I find that I like this one more than that one, even though right now I couldn't tell you which one I'd prefer to live in. But it's going to involve some sort of like garage. Like, I don't know. I'm I'm not the type of person to want like like a big house necessarily, uh, or all that. But like I want to be able to reasonably like fuel and feed it what's gonna be like a continuously more like ambitious, uh, just love for like making art and projects and things like that. So that's gonna be a part of my life, but there's no like real plans, I guess, with any of these. Just kind of like I said, things I'd like to continue doing or start doing. Maybe I just want to. I'm stoked about the like what's going to continue to come out for the world of like video games. I just want to like stay current on like the newest like always just like keep. It sounds kind of fucking dorky. Just like keep playing video games. I want to do that for sure. See like if movies keep getting better, things like that. It's just getting so like not plans anymore for like what's next outside the world of aviation, but it's just like things like hell yeah, I want that to be a part of my life for sure. And I have to like keep paying attention to that so it doesn't just like slip and die away and just get like pulled under the combine as I just plow my way through a aviation career.
Yeah.
And other things like health for sure. I want to not like physically peak in high school track, like keep improving that way and like stay healthy.
You've already outdone yourself there. You did not peak in high school. I can attest to
Yes.
that.
That is true. That is true.
You still continue
Always
to
true.
impress me every time I see you in
Yeah.
just how generally healthy like you look. There's a lot of people who like work out a lot and have very fit and attractive bodies, but don't seem healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have a very fit and attractive body, and you look healthy, and you
Yeah.
seem healthy. So you're
Yeah.
totally outdoing yourself in high school because you were horrible. I'm kidding. You weren't horrible.
I was pale and just sickly and dehydrated all the time and
Running on
slow.
bin stock time.
Yeah, I was tardy to class, sleepy.
Yeah.
Got roasted by Mr. Miskowski.
It
Yeah, I
seems
mean,
like some of your creative, crafty projects have always oscillated between practicality and then just
Bonkers.
straight bonkers fun,
Bananas.
just for the heck of it. Just let's
Yeah.
do this thing. This is a thing that we should do, so let's do it. Um, and I wonder, as you continue to pay attention to wanting to do this and do more and hone in that craft more, and you use the word art, which seems not like a departure from what you've done before, but that seems intentional, that it's not just craft, it's not just practical, but it's art.
Right.
How do you feel about this oscillation? Do you think it'll continue being, you know, Trevor's practical garage where you just build the things that you want around your house and garage and backyard? Will it be a mix of also just things you want to make because it's like, oh, I want to make that and it looks fun?
Yeah.
How do you envision that?
Can I just say,
I
if it continues to escalate at the rate that it's escalating for grandeur and like majesty of the projects that Trevor's doing, someday Trevor's gonna spray paint half of the moon, the light side of the moon that we can see. He's gonna spray paint it. He's gonna wake up one day and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm actually going up to the moon. I've been flying that new aircraft that can actually just like leave orbit, and I'm gonna go to the moon, and I'm gonna spray paint all of it so that you can see. I'm gonna make it a symbol. It's cool. I could see that."
Maybe Trevor's the one trying to privatize the airspace so he can get up there.
yeah.
Main guy, you start looking up articles.
Yeah, I start like
and
digging
it's just
in.
like Trev says, like,
Yeah,
"All right, Trev, you can."
continue.
I hope like for how good it feels just to have like a whim kind of like project, just done for its own sake. Like that is just like that feels really good, and I like doing it, and I love the mindset and like the feelings that it gives me, then for like more like practical things, just like building or whatever, like designing, I like getting better at it. I like a job well done, but while I'm doing it, it's just sort of like it's so fun to do, and it's like I haven't like had to do any of that, so it's like a hobby, it's relaxing, things like that, but it isn't just like so I hope moving forward, I feel like it will get more like practical. You got just like dad in the garage making a dining room table. That now you're like, oh yeah, I built this back in 2026. It probably like will get more to that point, maybe, but I would prefer that it just goes more and more just like mystical, like just doing like these things that like
Spray painting the side of the moon.
like yeah no just like things that like no one else has thought of or has done or will do in like a creative way.
That's what I'm saying.
Like and that can be like small things, like that doesn't have to be crazy, just
Right.
like that, like everyone's, so many people have built the table, but like that, and but it's like little projects where like I feel like it's niche, it's unique, like this idea hasn't been, if it's been had, no one's just been like, there's the idea, all right, let's go to Menards or Michael's and let's start this, and then like saw it through, finished it. Like that's what feels really good, and I hope that that's like continues to be my motivation versus like, yeah, I don't know, the dog needs a doghouse So we'll make a doghouse for
Right.
him.
Well,
Yeah.
what's interesting is, oh, so I've lived with Trev for a couple of years, and what's interesting is for both types of projects, ones that are like niche and like maybe not pragmatic in any sort of way or practical or useful in any sort of way, and the ones that do happen to have a use, they both kind of come from the same sort of like itch. Like if
Mhm.
Trev wants to build a doghouse because the dog needs a doghouse, he sees that a dog needs a doghouse, and then he'll have an idea of like a really freaking cool doghouse that's like never been thought of before. And so the whole
Yeah.
process of all these projects look the same and kind of develop in the same way of like there's the beginning idea and then there's like a research development part and then there's like the doing it and then the like working with it and there's so much excitement around it. It's really amazing actually to like watch. Some of my favorite times would be when I would like come up to the kitchen and Trevor would be making something and be like, I have this idea. That's how he'd start. And I would get super
Yeah.
excited because those that happen. Those ideas actually happen with Trev. I have a lot of ideas, I think, and they barely ever happen. But a lot of them have happened with Trev.
So
Totally.
I mean, really, yeah. I mean, thank you for saying that. Like it does in no other place than if I have like, this like idea that I want to like make real, and I just like kind of start going for it. Maybe not really knowing how, but just figuring it out. Uh, like in those moments, I just like have so much like really good energy. I just like need to get into it and just like start doing it. And like the motivation is just so pure and so awesome. And I only like find that in like creation of some sort. Um, like something like tactile, visible. Like even I'm a musician. I play multiple instruments. None of them all that well, but like I know a lot about making music, and I don't get that with music,
Right.
even though I like to do it. But if I could instrumentalize, and so I know this, I've thought about this a little bit too, is like making a career out of that somehow. Because if I could instrumentalize that energy and that motivation towards anything else, I know that I would be hugely successful,
Right.
to the best of like my opportunities there. Like it's just like I get frustrated that I can't channel that to school. Like I'm good at school, I can focus and I can study, but I can't reach that level of like
Yeah.
just wanting to do it. And so I get frustrated that in all like a lot of other things in my life I'm good, like it's just it takes discipline, but it takes no discipline when I have that like energy and I'm in that like flow state.
Hmm.
And so maybe I'm in some way I kind of like I don't even want to say like owe it to myself. It's like it would be best practice to integrate that more and more into like a lifelong career type thing besides just like yeah, I do these little goofy things. You can check them out. So so I'm not sure, but I want to always be able to tap into that feeling and that energy. And it sounds kind of like abstract right now. I'm not using like a lot of examples. I know you guys know them, but
Right.
it, uh, I always want to be able to tap into that somehow because it feels really good.
Right. And there was a time when I was living there that you were like, it had been a long time since you had done a project, and you were saying that you were feeling rough, and you didn't know if you were feeling rough because you hadn't done something in a long time, or if you like didn't want to do anything, you didn't have an idea for a project because you were feeling rough. You like couldn't figure out if it was one way or the other. Like
Yeah.
that was like sophomore year, I think, but crazy.
Right. I'm sure at different times it could probably be either way.
Right.
You know, yeah, I'm sure circumstantially, maybe it's one way. I'm just like kind of feeling down, so I haven't done a project, or maybe I've been like kind of stuck, not wanting, like not feeling secure enough with like my schedule and everything going on to like dedicate time, and that's bringing me down because I'm not like haven't had this like catharsis of just like feel goods in a
Yeah.
while.
And so, what about family? Are you looking to be a family man? Are you looking to be a classical dad who's gonna be a workaholic and emotionally unavailable?
Oh
It's a
yeah, no
callback.
doubt.
Call back, call back, call back.
Yeah.
What?
That would
That was a callback to like 5 episodes ago, 4 episodes ago.
the masculinity talk.
Oh yeah,
Unavailable fathers.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just gonna be. I'm gonna impose unrealistic expectations and be like emotionally unavailable to my kid. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm
No,
training for right now.
I'm definitely gonna like right now. If for like a partner, getting married at some point would be nice. I feel like a lot of this is also just like what I grew up with,
Right.
or just like what's around. You get married, have kids. I sure I would like kids at some point. Right now I just see too many like things that I would like to do that would become much more difficult with the kid, but it's not something that I never want to do. So just for sure, like I'm gonna wait a while. Like my pilot career right now, I think it'd be really sweet to get with like a regional airline. Or, another dream would be like for corporate flying, find some company or some, you know, individual to fly for that doesn't have like I go from here to here and that's where my meetings are, whatever. It's like I go like wherever, like I don't know, if I could fly like the Foo Fighters on tour. I don't know if they probably go by tour bus, but like something like that or some like CEO, and you get this opportunity just to like go around.
Yeah.
But if not that, then you're like, let's say, a regional airline. Usually you have like a route, yeah, like you're gonna do this and this. But I just want to be able to go there as like, hey, I'm Trevor. Here are my ratings. I'm rated or qualified to be trained to fly this aircraft. I've got no kids, like
Yeah.
nothing, like no place I prefer. Like I love hotels. Send me anywhere.
Yeah.
Like uh just be able to do that and not be like, hey, so you're here to work, and I'm like, yeah, but I got to be like home on these days, and I can't go like this far away for too long, anything like that. I just want to be like this well-paid vagabond that's just getting
Yeah.
shipped everywhere. It's like we've got this like goofy like flight going to I don't know Sapporo. We need you to hop on it, and I'm like, I'm there, dude. uh that for like the career, but then also just for like traveling, the like basic obvious like financial reasons for it, but I could see myself waiting for quite a while.
Right.
One example for that too is, so my dad and my mom both had kids when they were pretty young and kids more recently, right? And I know my dad had my oldest brother when he was, oh, he would have been like 23,
Okay.
24, 23, maybe even younger.
You're almost there.
Oh, maybe not. My mom was younger than that when she had her first kid, but uh, I'm sure they loved it. And then I was 5 years after that.
I'm sure they love
Uh,
us.
I'm sure, for like my older siblings, like myself, they loved us very much. But like in your 20s, like it's got to just be there's a lot of like anxiety and stuff around it, And
So
not that that would
much.
ever go away when you got older, but now I look at my dad who just uh had Blaze and Layla in the past few years, and he's 49, so he was like 46 when he had the first one, and then 47. Uh, and he's just like so like happy with
Yeah.
these kids, and he's just like so like blessed. Like just
He's
like they are
oozing
nothing but
dad
like,
energy. For
huh?
sure. He's oozing dad energy for sure.
Yeah, he's oozing dad energy.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. So like I see that, and I was like, I'm sure that would be a huge source of joy, but just imagine like doing that the first time, just enjoying it at that point. So I see that and I was like, that's a pretty good case to like wait. I don't know. That's a really long-winded kind of like drag it around answer for like the family aspect of it, but like
Right.
no big plans. I'd like to have kids at one point as I get older. That desire will probably go up, but right now it'd be very cool to not have kids.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think a lot of
Um,
early 20s people would very much agree with that sentiment, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, it's not a very unique
Yeah.
point
I'll
of view to
say
have.
it. You cowards won't. I'll say it. I'll wait to have kids.
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm
I'm
kind of
different.
I'm quirky. I don't want to have a kid like the year after undergraduate. I'd rather wait till I'm older.
Yeah. Awesome.
It does seem like the conversation about crafting and creativity and your passion for projects is a good analog to or good partner to the other side of your life that we talked about for a good chunk of this, which is flying.
Right.
Because of course you love flying and you're driven by it, but you also I don't know, I feel like those to you borrow Swatt's term, like those are two different itches that you are scratching. One of them is but they're kind of related of
Yeah.
just they're based in how much you enjoy achieving a goal that you kind of set for yourself or getting something done
Right.
that you
Well,
feel should be done. But they manifest themselves and are related to different things also. Um, but I think that they pair well for how you'll spend your days, you know? Like they are both similar but also draw from different buckets of energies
right.
and different just parts of your brain and heart. So I think it's a good pairing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. You got like um yeah, like piloting and like the school and like the training and the discipline and dedication that takes, that's definitely like my oatmeal, like complex carbohydrates, like keeping me going. And then projects is just like that hit of sugar. Just like,
It's
you
the
can't just
secret
have
sauce.
one, having just the other would be very bland.
Yeah.
I think they do complement each other. Cause like, all right, so back in high school, I'd say like I was played music, uh, played sports, like I was involved in a lot of stuff, but on top of like over all that, and I just didn't really like talk about it as much because it's what everyone was doing, but like what I was best at was just school, right? Just classes, grades, like that is like was my main focus and is what I was best at was just going to class and getting good grades. Um, and so like yeah, and there was something I could still go and like get better at soccer and like music and do all this stuff too. But just always having that like touchstone to, over on top of all of that, like it makes all that feel better if it's just kind of like extra and you're like getting to do it, but you're always like still at this task that is continuing to like just develop and like show up and like have something to do and doing it really well. And that's what is I think appealing about having a career that doesn't involve like creation.
Mm,
Right.
yeah, that
Right.
makes a lot of sense.
I also don't like me and my brother are very different in this sense, and I would be different from a lot of people and similar to a lot of people too. I'd never want to sell anything. I knew right away, and there's like a lot of different ways that comes up, but
Mhm.
I'm not no desire to be like a salesman. I don't want people to like buy anything because like I want them to, or even like I don't even like even working at Pizza Ranch and taking orders on the phone. People like keep ordering stuff, and I was like, oh, just like stop. It's gonna be like expensive. Like you don't have to like get your pizza here. I just like I feel bad. Like how many coupons can I find you that you didn't ask for just to like make this cheaper? Like yeah, like, and so there's a lot of different things, not just business, but where in some way you're like selling, marketing, like
Yeah.
starting a business, anything like that. It's just
Right.
never been for me. I
Yeah.
would not like in some way I don't have like the same just like raw energy, passion for flying that I do when I just get like whims and like bursts of energy.
Yeah.
But I've got like negative motivation for selling, and I couldn't do that. So in that case, or in that sense, being a pilot has provided like I have a career path where I wouldn't have to worry about selling anything but my own skills. It's like you take care of the business and everything. I'm just gonna show up. You have something that you need done. I'm gonna do it well. You'll pay me for it, and I don't have to touch the business aspect at all.
Yeah.
Wow. Bram, do you have any more questions?
I feel like I've asked a whole bucket.
Yeah, thanks for asking questions. It's really helped to guide this. Again, I came in ready to talk about my plans for my pilot career, which is a pretty short conversation. So that's helped to kind of get more out of me, I guess.
SWAT, I love how
I'm slowly,
clear you look right now.
I'm slowly
how dark.
receding into darkness. I've
You're-
been getting more and more evil as this has gone on.
Does that window look at the sunset?
No, it looks opposite of the sunset.
Okay.
Heck. If it face south is like there.
Mhm.
So that's like southwest.
So do you kind of catch a decent view of the sunrise then at all, or?
Oh, it gets the whole sunrise. It gets
Alright.
sunrise until noon when the sun is above.
And once he has risen, as they say.
Yeah.
Or
Hallelujah.
he is risen. He is risen. Sorry.
He is visited.
He's risen indeed. Hallelujah.
Well, congrats on rising.
Thank you. It'll happen again, hopefully tomorrow. I mean, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Physics could just turn off. God could just turn off the physics switch on the universe and everything
That
will
is
happen
true.
different.
Cool. If we weren't totally wrapped up here, I do have one thing that might something I want to do later when I make some money as a pilot that I feel like also might provide some insight into like how I kind of want to like give back or the type of dude I'll be later, maybe. I feel like this belongs here.
Yeah.
I know I've probably talked to you too about this. I don't know if we put it into the podcast before. Have I talked about the best hair in the air?
No. I'm so
Sure.
excited.
Okay. All right. So later on, after I like make some money and spend, I want to found a scholarship for student pilots. I'd probably start small, but at some point I want it to be like a very like popular and desirable scholarship so that it gets like publicity and the idea of it spreads faster than actually like the benefit to like a one or a few students. But found a scholarship, then offer it every year. And the name of the scholarship is going to be also because this is me, like I understood what a grind and how like stressful it was to like go through flight training and like pay for it and everything like that. So a scholarship either way, I think would be a really good way to give back. It's gonna be called The Best Hair in the Air.
Mm-hmm.
And the premise, it would be nice to have like my own website for it too. So it's like you want to, you can send it an email like the scholarship is available. Go to this website for all the information to apply. And then I have like the description for it. And it would start. I just remember you have like this prototypical image of a pilot, just like let's say a male pilot, like short cropped hair, just like very professional, like tall, handsome, just just I don't know, like a statuesque like pilot, but very like that's it. And when I started flying at UND, because not a lot of townies are pilots, which seems strange, but there's not a lot of people that I knew from high school that were flying.
Yeah.
And so I met this one guy in class and he was flying that semester and I was not. I hadn't started yet. He's like, "Do you want to come observe a flight?" I hadn't even been out to like flight ops at UND and like seeing where everything was or like where you actually go. So he's like, "Yeah, no, we'll meet at Ryan Hall. We'll drive out there. It's a night flight. It's my first night flight." And you just sit in the back seat and you can watch and any student can observe any flight, which is really nice because then you get free time in the airplane, which is tremendous for student pilots. His name was Logan, and he's just got this like long hair, kind of like down to his shoulders, just kind of like chill, relaxed dude. He pulls up in his car, has like window decals on the back. He had like a Borderlands one and like Mass Effect, like just like these games. And we go in there and he's just like listening to the tunes. And I was like, this. And then but he went out to like the lesson and he was just like handled himself really well, even though he was still just a new student pilot, like I don't know if he stayed at UND. I'm not still in touch with him, but like I'm sure if he continued being a pilot, he's a fine one. I was like, and then I just see so the description of this podcast scholarship would be like aviation is a world full of standard operating procedures and standards of performance and standards, but that doesn't mean that it needs to be full of standard people. And so the best hair in the air is just like a attempt to resist like the way that all of the rules involved in aviation can kind of like beat like the muse out of you.
Hell yeah.
And like I see a lot of people where like they're pilots and that's kind of it. But then I do see a lot of pilots that look really like cool and punk. Anyway, so it'd be like it'd have questions nothing to do with aviation. Do the question like you have a blank ticket, one opener, one headliner playing at your local like stadium. Who would you want to see on that ticket? Like bring music into it. Say like what got you into aviation? What are your other hobbies? All this stuff. What's your need for financial aid? Like a lot of scholarships have, but then like last part of it and like a requirement is you have to submit a picture of your hair within the past year. And I'd just be like, I want like perms, mullets, mohawks, like whatever you got, like that's going to be such a huge part of this. And just to like see like, yeah, I'm a pilot and I'm like going, but I don't just have like the crew cut or just like the bun, whatever it is. And so just my desire, even before I was done, pretty much right when I started aviation, I was like, I can see this being like really frustrating and everything. Like whenever I make it out of this, I want to start giving back. And that's one way that I really want to do it.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
That is very
I
wonderful.
love that.
Do you have
So
any...
I'm going,
sorry.
I'll let anyone that's listening to the podcast that wants to donate in several years when it
Yeah.
I'll go back to this episode and link the website.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's beautiful. I would donate it. I would donate to it now, and I don't have any money, so
Yeah, will be the first deposits.
yeah,
All right, perfect.
sweet. Well, I don't have any more questions right now. Prem, do you?
I think that's a wonderful closer.
Yeah, Trev, do you have any final thoughts?
No. Thank you for listening to my thing, and I'm excited for Prems to wrap up the trilogy next time.
Sure. Sure.
Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah, well, it's really great to talk about you because I think you're an amazing and fascinating person. Glad
Cheers
you
to
got
that.
the floor
Cheers to
for
that.
an episode. I think this is
Yeah.
the first episode that we got done, and my throat doesn't hurt from talking so much. So that's
It's definitely my most words per podcast at this
Yeah.
point.
yeah.
So normally I just man the tugboat
Yeah. Yeah.
and bring
This
you
is
two back in.
Yeah.
two big records in this episode.
Gosh, I love that. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Trev.
No doubt.
See you at Mike's.
Well, see you at Mike's.
See you at Mike's.